including Fontana, and will provide transportation to any of their locations at no cost to you. To find out more, give them a call at 844-SAD-5050. That's 844-SAD-5050. South Pacific Sleep Lab. Start resting easy and sleeping sound today.
Now's the time to get what you want, because for a limited time at Rent-A-Center, take up to 6 months to pay our lowest price. Own it sooner with no additional fees, no charges, and no credit. 6 months, same as cash on the brands you want, only at Rent-A-Center.
Centrally located at the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. Call 909-335-6622. That number again, 909-335-6622. Rent-A-Center, where the 10 and the 210 meet in the Tri-City Shopping Center.
Wet n Wild Palm Springs is the one where you get big water park fun. Yeah, dive into all the action-packed thrills with exciting rides, slippery slides, cool water adventures, and so many ways to just chill. So get everyone together and get to Wet n Wild Palm Springs. For unlimited fun, get a season pass. Buy now, get a free ticket for a friend, and more. All for just $64.99 at wetandwildpalmsprings.com or at Food for Less. Offer ends soon. Park open daily.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@kcaaradio.com.
Are you ready for a new experience? To see life from another point of view? New hope, new expression, new joy. This is your radio hour. Welcome to Viewpoint with Father John.
And welcome, friends. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, and or on the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. By the way, you can follow this show on Facebook at Viewpoint with Father John. All of God's children are endowed with extraordinary purpose and ability. I am on a quest to help as many as possible in fully realizing their divinely inspired potential. Disposing of false narrative and embracing genuineness inspires clarity of purpose. My role is to help as many as possible overcome self-imposed limitations in realizing one's spiritual potential. And this is a listener-supported program. So if you like what you're hearing on the show, please go to our website at www.viewpointwithfatherjohn.com and click on the support button, and you can support with whatever is reasonable for you. I want to thank everyone who has given so far. We're really grateful for your keeping us on the air. By the way, for those looking at us on YouTube or on Facebook Live, you can notice I'm not wearing collar tonight. I am wearing the new Viewpoint with Father John, a KCAA radio polo shirt. And you too can have one of these. Go to the website, contact me, hit contact, and I'll tell you how to get one of these so you can help support the program by buying a shirt. There's also t-shirts. Go to our Facebook page and you can see what they look like. They are really handsome. Gabby says they look good enough to wear, so she's going to even wear one of those. So that's fantastic. And a few things in the news tonight. We have some crazy stuff this week. The looks like the inner circle for President Trump is really getting in a lot of trouble. 2 more convictions on felony counts. We have his former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, and his former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, who are now convicted felons. That doesn't look good for our country. But you know what? More will be revealed. I support Mueller and what he's looking for. This is not a left or right issue. This is an American issue. And when we have the president going on air or tweet, I should say, and spreading some of the stuff he's spreading about other countries now, it's bad enough some of the stuff he's doing here. Now he's doing it with South Africa. It doesn't help anything. So we're in this together. President Trump said something today that I thought was really incredible. He said that cooperative witnesses is what law enforcement calls it. He called them flippers, should be outlawed. That's an incredible statement. I've only heard that from people who are involved with the mafia, to be honest with you, that they don't like people who can cooperate with the prosecution and then turn on other people. Just to clear things up with that, the only way that they can use a cooperative witness is if they can confirm the information that the cooperative witness is giving the prosecution. That's the only way they can use it. If they lie on the stand, they get hit with perjury. So it's a good system that works that way. So let's hang into this together. Also, if you can please keep in your prayers the people in Hawaii. They're getting hit with a Category 5 hurricane, and that's pretty serious stuff. On some rather positive news, Martha Bass and I are doing another workshop. It's going to be on October 6th in the People's Republic of Claremont. And we're doing a workshop on making your life whole. Now, you remember we just did one on forgiveness. This takes it to the next level. If you want to be whole as a person, this is an important workshop for you. How do we do that? Well, we're glad to help share with you on that. It's a wonderful process. It's not pain-free, but it's worth everything to get through to it. Tonight I'm excited because I have two wonderful guests with me for this evening. One of them is my good friend, Martha Bass. She's with us tonight. And Sandra Macis. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Did I even get close on that?
You did a beautiful job.
I speak Spanglish, but not Spanish. And I want to thank our board operator, Nick. Nick, always good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Nick.
And if you go to Facebook right now, you can see his handsome photo with me. He's the handsome one, I'm the ugly one. And but you can see we go to the same barber. So we're going to have some fun tonight. Now, as you know, that Martha is an author. Love Heals is the book.
Yes, thank you.
And she's also a presenter of wonderful information. She's also a spiritual coach. And Sandra, she is not just a life coach, which she is, but she also teaches people how to be life coaches. She has quite a story, originally from Costa Rica.
Exactamente, yes.
And but grew up in South Central LA, and now you're here in Southern California, where it's not so violent, San Dimas area.
Correct.
where you don't have to carry a gun, but you can always borrow one.
Actually, they did open a gun shop.
Yeah, well, they said you should be half shot when you go in. So, ladies, please say hello to everyone on the air.
Hi, everyone, and I just want to take an opportunity to say thank you, Father, for having me here today. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Sandra, for joining us today. So
we're adjusting microphones.
Yeah, sorry.
And so welcome. So let's talk a little bit about what is life coaching and spiritual coaching versus psychotherapy.
Well, first of all, psychotherapy is very different than coaching. Coaching, as you well know, is taking someone on a journey. And what we do in Coaching Hispano is I will teach you as a master coach how to get certified and how to be trained to be a coach. So there are various curriculum areas that I will talk about later. But
Very
Martha, you have spiritual coaching.
Yes, I am a spiritual coach and a relationship coach. What I do is I teach, not teach necessarily, but guide people,
Okay.
And connect with themselves, because I think that it's one of the important keys. We have to connect with ourselves.
Yes.
And connecting to your higher power so we can uncover what it is that it's, stopping you, preventing you, or just keeping you from experiencing exactly what it is that you want to be experiencing in your relationship with others and with yourself. Because nothing changes until we change. The relationship that we have with the self is the key. We go through life thinking that everyone else should change for us to be happy, for us to have a fulfilled life. And the reality is that the change starts with the self. Always with the self, and then it's like everything else changes around us.
Well, if I'm correct, one thing that it does have in common with psychotherapy is that it's the philosophy that the answer is within you.
Exactly.
You're not going to find it outside of you. And I think it's something that Richard Bach wrote in his book Illusions, that learning is finding out what you already know, doing is showing that you know it, teaching is reminding others that they know it as well. Would that be an accurate statement?
That's
absolutely.
very accurate. Yeah, and also remember that in psychotherapy, and there'll be times when you do need to go back to the past. However, in coaching, you are actually telling the person, hey, can I meet you where you are? And hey, can you also tell me where you want to go? So
Right.
then you are going to take the person to where destination that he or she wants to go. And you're not going to look back. You're going to move forward with a action plan. So that's
Sure.
a big difference.
Now, just a question on that for clarity, as I am someone who does do psychotherapy. Are there times that you do take them a little back if there's something blocking them that's coming from there?
Yes.
So
That
they
is-
can recognize that.
We recognize that. right.
Okay.
And also, as a true coach, if you recognize you can't do it, then we'll call you because you'll help us.
Well, there something that some people don't always know. Psychotherapy is not a panacea for everything. It doesn't fix everything. And not everybody is appropriate for psychotherapy. And with that in mind, there's some people who would benefit more from coaching than therapy, or would benefit from doing both together. It's like we say, it shouldn't be the doctor or the priest. It should be the physician and the metaphysician working hand in hand, not either or, but and. And so I think it's important doing that when we're looking at spiritual issues. And one of the reasons I operate under my ordination as a priest is so that I can talk to people about spiritual matters. Because, and I'm curious with your practices, if you run into this, one of the greatest issues I run into with people is a lot of spiritual hang-ups, a lot of religious hang-ups. And they've filled this bag with all this stuff that they're carrying around, and they don't know how to let go of. And it's stopping them from making progress in life because the load they're carrying is so heavy that they just can't move forward. Do you do anything with that?
Absolutely. We look at the circle of life, and we look at the 6 areas of a person's eclectic self. For example, professional, the financial. We look at the emotional, the relationships. We look at the spiritual and the health and wellness. And then we take that person through a very rigorous questioning where we ask them 10 questions per each category. And that
Wow.
person is going to really reveal what really is going on. And then I, as the coach, will take all that information and create a ta-da vision statement, which means I will take that information and create it into a quantum leap and have this young man or woman see themselves as they truly are, whole, perfect, and beautiful. And I give them the vision statement, which they must do for 30 days. And that is called neuro-linguistic programming,
Right.
which is a whole big deal that we do
NLP.
also in our program.
It's a very powerful program. You know, it's funny, one of the things you're talking about that a lot of people, I think, miss out on. You mentioned the financial. And some people try to separate the financial from the spiritual, and they don't realize that they can go hand in hand. Now, I say that with hesitance because there are a lot of con artists on the air, televangelists, who will really kind of run with that and talk you out of all your money. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you are doing things financially, do it from a spiritual perspective. Case in point, as most people know who know me, I live on love offerings. I don't get a salary. And I've been working that way for close to 30 years. I don't know from week to week what I'm going to have in my pocket, and it's not my business. My job is to take care of God's children. God's job is to take care of me. I have to get out of the way so God could do that. And if I'm spending all my time worried about where the money is going to come from, I forget what I'm about, which is to help God's children. And so what my spiritual friends do is they help to remind me that what I'm really about is being a service, and then the money end of it is just a trade-off of that. Because everything in life is a trade-off. At least that's been my experience. And we do live in an abundant universe, but sometimes people hear that and they think, oh, we all should be riding around in Mercedes-Benz. And that's not what that means. No. It means we have enough to meet the bills, to have enough to meet the needs, and to care and share with others who need as well. And so I just want to talk about that for a moment before we go to our commercial break. So you talked to them about their spiritual finances.
All these 6 areas, and then they come up with an action plan. And like you said, Father Reed, everybody has the answers within. Mm-hmm. So it's basically our job as a coach is not to provide the answers. Our job is really to ask the questions, ask the deep questions, and to celebrate when your coachee goes off and starts having those changes. And when they come back with those baby step changes, you celebrate them. You celebrate them as much as possible. You motivate them. Because we ask, why do we need a coach in this day and age? Well, a lot of the young people, the millennials, love coaching because it's very personalized. They also enjoy seeing their growth.
And speaking of financial spirituality, as we go into our first break, practice some of your spiritual financial practice by going to our website and clicking support and help keep this program on the air. And we'll see you in 2 and 2.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
Every day is a great day at KCAA Radio. August 23rd is National Ride the Wind Day. Enjoy the last days of summer and the warm summer breezes on August 23rd as you celebrate the annual National Ride the Wind Day. National Ride the Wind Day commemorates the anniversary of the first human-powered flight to win the Kremer Prize. It was on August 23rd, 1977, that the Gossamer Condor II flew the first figure-8 course specified by the Royal Aeronautical Society at Minter Field in Shafter, California. Slowly cruising at only 11 miles per hour, it traveled a distance of 2,172 meters. The Gossamer Condor II was built by Dr. Paul B. McCready and piloted by amateur cyclist and hang glider pilot Brian Allen. The Gossamer Condor II aircraft is preserved at the Smithsonian National Air. For KCAA NBC Radio, I'm Andrew Caravella. This has been The More You Know.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email ceo@kcaaradio.com.
Hey guys, this is Andrew Caravella. Just wanted to let you know that KCAA has a new listener line for all of you that have a phone. Now you can listen to KCAA in the grocery store, in the doctor's office, or when you want to pretend you're on the phone with someone just so that creeper will leave you alone. Call 720-835-3099 today and listen to your favorite KCAA radio shows. That number again, 720-835-3099. KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no caller or listener behind.
And welcome back. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. And again, please go to our website, especially if you want to see some of these beautiful shirts, at www.viewpointwithfatherjohn.com. Everybody's laughing. I think they're beautiful shirts.
They are. They really are. I love the color, and it's just nice.
And that beautiful voice you just heard is Martha Bass, who is doing a workshop with me. We're co-hosting that on October 6th in Claremont. If you want more information on it, follow us on Facebook. Also go to the website. There'll be some announcements coming up pretty soon. I think we're going to be doing it at the UCC Church again. We're still confirming that. But wherever it is, you won't want to miss this workshop. It's really going to be worth your time to be a part of that. It's about making life whole. I always like to say a healthy person can do three things. A healthy person can work, a healthy person can play, a healthy person can love.
Absolutely.
And in this workshop, you're going to learn about those three elements of making your life whole. So tonight, my guests are Sandra Macis, and Martha Bass. And we were talking before the break that you have 10 questions for your clients to answer, your coachees. And hey, that's a new term. I just
double E.
Yeah, you
I
said
just
it right.
came up with that. There you go. See, that came from Father John. So I just copyrighted that. So why don't you two share with us some of the questions that you like to have them answer for themselves?
Well, the first one is, what is that you envision to have in this area, whether it's financial? So what is your goal? Very clear goal. The second thing is, right away, you want to take them into the quantum look. How would it look like? What do you envision when you have it? What would it feel like? And what do you hear? So we're dealing with all these three components. Then we go into who and with whom you're going to have this goal done, because sometimes you need a partner or you need to commit yourself fully. And then we go into what has kept you from not doing this goal, and what resources do you have, and what future resources do you still have. We really stress the part of resources, because that's where the creativity comes in, where the person's creative energy in allowing the universe to help them achieve that goal. But remember, we do that for each of the 6 areas of the wheel. And then what we also want them to do is to identify a starting date and time. Then we get into the real action plan. And in order to do this, part of the curriculum, which we have to teach our coachee, is that peak performance. Every single person in the world has peak performance moments. And so we teach them about that. We teach them about the power of words. Words can be debilitating, or words are powerful. So we want to go over those powerful words and go over those words that are poison. We want to let them know, don't go there.
Because one of the things I run across with people is the messages they give themselves that are so negative, and how often we call ourselves really names that if other people called us those names, we'd be greatly offended and deeply hurt. But we've picked up the idea that it's okay to call ourselves that, and that's really not healthy. And I like the idea of commitment. I know a great deal about commitment. Gabby's tried to commit me 2 or 3 times now. And so I do have a little fear of commitment. So she's looking at me right now like the next commitment's coming on the way home. She says she's making numbers at me 5150. And Nick is giving a thumbs up, like I'm on board on this ship. So now, do you use these same questions with your?
Yes, I do. But we were talking about the power, the words that we use, and the impact that they create in our lives. And it's important to remember and to understand that so many times we say these words without even knowing. It's just we do it unconsciously, and we're just talking without realizing the things that we're talking about ourselves.
Without being present.
Absolutely. Or we're driving, and then we're just telling ourselves all these stories that are not even true. But we don't realize it, therefore they create that life that we don't want.
You know, that's interesting. In my book, Close Your Eyes So You Can See Me, in part of the book, you probably remember reading that I write about a time that I lived 73 miles from where I worked. And that's a long time in a car with your head. And this was about, I don't know, almost 30 years ago. And I was on my way into work, and my head's going through all these scenarios, all the way back to when I was 5 years old, and saying, why did you say that? Why did you do this? You're so stupid. No wonder nobody likes you. Until finally, I screamed out at the top of my voice, literally, for God's sake, I was just a kid. I didn't know better. And at that moment, I had that aha. I realized who it was who was out to get me. It wasn't my folks. It wasn't God. It wasn't the people. I was the only one in the car.
Correct.
And at that moment, I realized I was the one who didn't like me.
Yep.
And that's where the inner child healing, the inner child comes in,
Right.
which is part of our program. Remember, I provide a program for you to be certified, and along with that program and that curriculum would come also, besides the power of words, looking at the inner child, the self-help and self-healing. We also look at forgiveness. We
Yes,
also look
definitely.
at resentments. We also look at who we need to forgive, and we then march on to include, now that you're a coach, what are you going to do with that? So we also look at the social aspects and also the business aspect of being a coach.
Sure. When I've had other therapists work with me, at one time I was in full-time practice, and I had a few therapists that were contracted with me. And part of their contract was that they too had to be in therapy with somebody outside our practice, and they had to bring written verification of this, because I would tell them, how can you be clear with your clients, with your patients, if you're not clear with yourself?
Absolutely.
And so it's important to make sure your own issues are in check. That doesn't mean being perfect. It means
No.
being aware,
Yes.
being present. And so it sounds like when you're training the people to be coaches, you're training them to be personally aware and to practice what they're preaching, so to speak, if I may.
Absolutely. They have to have some hours also that they put in. And even with that, our course is only a 16 to 20 hour course, because we kept to the nitty gritty, getting rid of all the theory. Yes, we do talk about John Kappas and how the mind works, but we don't go into all the detail. We talk about Maxwell Maltz and what he said in, regarding PNL and how we can change our brain. And we talk about the brain, restructuring the brain and the rewiring the brain. But
Yeah.
again, we don't go into a really deep theoretical, much rather have it practical, and we give you the questions. Everything's laid out for you. We give you the questions, the exercise. Now go and get someone and start teaching, then come back to me and you tell me, okay, this is what I'm doing. So basically, when you're certified, you end up being a practitioner certified coach, life coach.
Now, you have quite a bit of education, though.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we have
Talk
to.
a little bit about your education.
Well, that came from many, many years knowing that I wanted to be a teacher when I was in the 4th grade. And then I'm a lifelong learner. I really enjoy learning. And I think that's another thing that we stress to our coaches. Once you commit to being a coach, you cannot say, oh, I've learned everything I need to know. No, you need to continue growing, continue learning, continue going to sessions and seminars and reading and being parts of retreats and opening the doors, the many doors of knowledge. And so, and that's why when you finally really evolve, you kind of like evolve into what Martha is, which is a spiritual coach, which is really one of the highest, I think, degrees, because literally speaking, coaching is really about wellness of the soul. And so you are really all about enhancing yourself, expanding yourself as a human being and your soul. So I am so thrilled that I see many young people also liking and preferring coaching and calling on coaching, and also that many people that are out there are open to being coached and are not afraid to say, hey, I need help.
Right.
And so I see that in the millennials a lot. I'm very happy, and that's good.
And Martha, talk a little bit about your spiritual coaching practice.
Well, I do wanted to say one thing too. It's also a journey. Okay, it's a journey that goes on all the time. It's not a place that, we get there and we're done. Just like Sandra was saying, we still need to read more and educate ourselves more and learn more. Because one of the things that I have learned is the more that I know, the more that I know that I don't know anything, because there's so much more to learn. There's so much more to understand. And I just believe that the spiritual coaching, it's important. It's one of the areas of life because we are connected to the divine. We are one with that greater power. And I believe that there is a higher power that we can use. We just have to know how to tap into it, because we are not alone. We believe that we're here struggling, but no, we're not alone. God is with us. God is inside of us. Therefore, we have the capacity and the power to create the life that we want. And I'm going to bring the workshop that we're going to do in October 6th, right?
Right.
About, living a whole life. And I want to say it's not holy, meaning that we haven't made any mistakes, or that if we have done something that it wasn't in integrity, we're not allowed to be whole or to live a fulfilled life. Yes, we are. That's why we have all these wonderful tools that takes us to that process to be able to say, okay, I live my future not according to my past, but what I choose now to do, the tools that I choose to use, the life that I choose now with these wonderful tools that we use on a daily basis, like affirmations, the powers, the meditation, prayers, all those things that really bring a fulfilled life of love. The reason that I call my business and my book Love Heals, the one that I co-wrote with Carol Bliss, it's
Good
because,
book, by the way.
Yes, love those heal. We come from that source of love. Therefore, I believe that it is our responsibility to show up in the world as the love that we are.
Well, my friend Chuck Chamberlain, Richard Chamberlain's father, the actor, he was very influential on me. In fact, he and a Jesuit priest helped me find my calling to go into the priesthood. He used to say, we have a lifelong process of learning to uncover, discover, and discard. And we do that with all the things that are blocking us from being in the sunlight of the Spirit. And so we can walk on what we call the sunny side of the street and enjoy the Spirit. And I know you've heard me say a few times, and I believe I mentioned it in my book, like the difference between being religious and being spiritual is being religious is us trying to show God how good we are. Being spiritual is letting God show us how good he is and enjoying that love.
Beautiful.
And we can only experience that as we become clearer and clearer vessels of that love, reaching out to other people's lives. The more that we try to seek love, and I've shared this many times on this show, that love is a divine paradox. When you go out to get, you come back empty. When you go out to give, you come back overflowing. And so the whole idea, as I'm seeing what you're describing as the coaching, is you're teaching people how to become vessels of love. Would that be an accurate statement?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And also, just wanted to remind you, Father Reed, that we are very proud to be coaching Hispano USA for a reason, a purpose. After a lot of meditation, it's about, there's so many people out there, Spanish speaking, of Hispanic descent, that desperately need to get these tools to them. So we do that in Spanish, and we also have it in English, and it's all over the United States. But guess what? It's made it possible through media that we're now in Peru, in Venezuela, in Argentina, in Mexico, in Colombia especially.
Brazil.
We're blessed. We're
Oh,
blessed.
that's
Oh, Brazil.
wonderful.
We're opening up in Brazil in Portuguese. So all this is happening because I think it's a divine order that it needed to continue and to quickly get into the hands of people, because we're talking about transformation and evolution can't wait. So it's exciting.
That's the
Yes.
prosperity I was talking about earlier. That true prosperity reaches out and touches everyone. And it sounds like that's what you have going. It's reaching out and touching people in many different cultures. And, it really, and this is going to sound corny and Disney, but that's okay. It really is a small world.
It really
Absolutely.
is.
And we are all connected.
We are.
In the Native American spirituality, it's taught that we are all part of the web of life.
Correct.
And as all part of the web of life, you cannot touch one part of the web without affecting another part of the web. So what we do touches one another. And so we have a choice. Is this going to be a touch that heals? or a touch that brings wounding. And I can't wound you without wounding me.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
At the same time, I can't help bring healing into your life without me receiving healing as well.
And, that's why I like to say that it is our responsibility to show up as the love that we are everywhere we go.
Yes.
Not caring what people are going to say or anything, but if you bring that energy, if you bring yourself as that person, you do affect the people around you. Therefore, you're being responsible for creating something better, for bringing that beautiful energy into the world, because it does affect the people around you.
Well, that's why Jesus said a very life-changing thing that went against everything else that was being taught at that time in his geographical area, which is love your enemy. Do good to those who persecute you. That's a whole different way. That's why I always cringe when I hear someone of the Christian faith say an eye for an eye. No, Jesus got rid of that. And by the way, that wasn't supposed to be you get an eye for an eye. It was a limitation. You couldn't, if they got your eye, and it's metaphorical, folks. You couldn't go after both their eyes, their arm, and get an ear. It was, this is as far as you can go. But Jesus put an end to that. He said, no. You do good to these people. It's not about getting even. It's about bringing healing.
Yeah.
And true practice of Christian faith is one that always tries to bring a healing note to every situation, getting out of who's right and into what's right.
Yeah. Because it's very simple. Whatever we give out comes back to us. Absolutely. So it's a blessing, a curse. It will just come back to us. So why not send a blessing?
Well, speaking of blessings, we're coming up to our next commercial break, and Nick's giving me the note on the window there saying, tell the folks we're going to commercial. So we'll see you in 2 and 2.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
Big Bang is done. This is your entertainment wrap-up for NBC News Radio. I'm Andrew Caravella. CBS says the upcoming 12th season of The Big Bang Theory will be the last. It's the most popular comedy currently on television. The series began as geeky physicist roommates portrayed by Jim Parsons and Johnny Galecki and expanded to include their friends, girlfriends, and then wives. Parsons' work on the show has earned him 4 Emmy Awards and a Golden Globe. CBS also airs a prequel about his character called Young Sheldon. Now in other news, Batman has entered rehab. According to CNN, actor Ben Affleck has been open about his struggles with alcohol addiction. He previously sought treatment in 2001 and 2017. Affleck's estranged wife, Jennifer Garner, was photographed walking into Affleck's home on Wednesday with an unidentified woman. The three were later photographed getting into an SUV driven by Garner with Affleck in the back seat. And just added to the wrap-up, it looks as if Bewitched is getting a reboot. Sci-Fi is reporting that ABC's pilot, which will introduce Samantha, a black single mother and witch, who marries Darren, a white and non-magic slacker. The article goes on to mention that as tough and hard-working as Samantha is, the show will highlight that not even a book full of spells can get her the kind of power any mediocre white guy commands in America. And finally, Ed King, former guitarist for Lynyrd Skynyrd who co-wrote Sweet Home Alabama, is dead at 68. 1968. King's family announced his passing on his Facebook page. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2006, along with all the pre-crash members of the band. And that is your entertainment wrap-up for NBC News Radio right here on KCAA. I'm Andrew Caravella.
And welcome back. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. And tonight, my guest.
No, we're still here. We're still here. Spirits.
I think I've had too many of the spirits tonight. My guests tonight are Martha Bass and Sandra Macis. And we're having a delightful conversation. Also, if you need a couple really good books to read, I'd like you to go to Amazon.com and get Love Heals with Martha Bass and Carol Bliss. And Close Your Eyes So You Can See Me by yours truly, Father John Reed. And so we were talking during the break, and we're going to talk about this segment about the importance of identifying messages you're giving yourself and that self-talk. And so, Sandra, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, what we try to do is also show the coach and give them the tools that he or she is going to identify in the coachee. For example, if a coachee comes to you and says, I never do anything right, I always get blamed for something, it seems like it's always me, no one loves me. All these are like red flags for you to say, no one? What do you mean no one? Has there ever been a time when you were loved, or did you ever were successful? So the idea is to catch your coachee with words because they have been programmed already to think negatively. So again, we will give you all those tools. We'll also show you how people make decisions. Sometimes you're making a decision because you want to get away from something, or sometimes you're making a decision because you want to go up to it and show I am in charge, or sometimes you make a decision based on an external factor. Someone actually gives you an idea, and you pick it up and you say, yeah, you get motivated from the outside. We'll show you all that, but the best one is when you become, responsible for your own change and your own commitment and your own behavior change through yourself. So we will show you those tools. And why do we want to give you those tools? Because you as a coach, you are going to now have a certificate that will tell you, go and help others start changing them. This certificate that you have from us, Coaching Hispano USA, will be a lifelong certificate. It'll be international. You move to any part of the world, it'll be with you. It doesn't expire. And so then this certificate does say, however, that you will keep on learning and you will keep on growing as a coach. And then afterwards, if you have a calling, and you know if you want to be a coach, if you, for example, love to work with people, if you like to listen to people and give them credit, to be a real coach, you have to be very humble, because it's very probably one of the most sacred kinds of work to have someone really expose their soul to you. So we do consider this as a calling. So you have that kind of calling and you feel like, hey, maybe I do want to do something different with my life. Plus you have the leisure of setting your own hours, and we show you how to set up your own practice. So that's really good, and we give you all the necessary help so that you can have a very good practice and make money out of it also, so that you can make that circulation of money flow and tithe and give away and get back, and it's all part of the process of getting a certificate with Coaching Hispano.
Well, let's talk about a very important part of this, and I'd like to get the take on this from both of you, because people who are coming to you for this are going to be sharing some very intimate things about their thinking, their feeling, their perception. Let's talk about the confidentiality aspect of that. Now, I know as a priest, when someone comes to me for confession, or even if someone comes to me for counseling, anything they say to me inside my office, which I also use as a confessional, once we leave that room, I can never speak of it again. They can. I can't.
Right.
And they can come back and we talk about it in the office, but I have to absolutely keep their confidentiality. I cannot share it with anybody else. What is your rule on that on both of your practices?
It's the same
The
thing.
same,
It's
absolutely.
the same thing.
And you have to actually sign one with ours. As you register, you also are given a confidentiality agreement, and you have to sign it and date it. So it's very clear that what stays there is with you as the counselor, as the coach. Again, as you mentioned, if the coachee wants to bring it up and wants to work on that, again, that's fine. And then we also tell you, you need to keep all the papers lock and key, because you're handling clients, you're handling coachees, and so
Right.
it's a life. And you need to be respectful that when they come to see you, that you really greet them, you really are there, you corroborate, you make sure you understand what they're saying by corroborating and say, are you telling me this? Because sometimes our perception is so different from what the person is saying. So we teach you all those, how to have meta models. The meta models are words that erroneously take us away from what that person is thinking. And we also show you how a person chooses to make decisions or why not. And so all those are tools that you'll get as a coach that you need to put into practice. And the best coaches that we're getting are people that have been either teachers in Colombia or another part of the world. They're now in the United States, and they're probably waiters or waitresses, and they want to have a certificate so they can open their door and start coaching. And so that is probably the best kind of client that we're getting right now.
Wow.
Large majority of them are former professors, educators, social workers, and they're stuck having come to the United States, and they need to move on.
That's very important, because when I used to handle all the personnel for the diocese, and I had a lot of priests from the Philippines, from Nigeria, and when they came over here, while they could practice as a priest, my group of priests, we were all medical missionaries. So we've had some physicians and such, and they would come over here. They could not practice medicine here until they went through another extensive program through our universities, go through another medical board thing, and then they can practice. But a lot of them gave up their practices of medicine, and they were wonderful physicians because the system was made so difficult, because they're not coming over here wealthy, and they do want to contribute. I was working at a hospice, and we had one guy who was a doctor in the Philippines who is now working as a CNA. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a CNA, but this is a man with a medical degree and a very good doctor, but he couldn't practice. Now, I'm not putting down our system. I'm just saying it's important for people to know that if you run across one of these people, it's not that they're not qualified. It's that with a lot of... just like you went from here to New York and you're a nurse, you have to get a new nursing license.
Right.
And it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, correct.
So,
The same thing with teaching. Yeah. But I think the most important thing is that you end up not only with a certificate, but you now belong to a community of coaches in the United States. And every Thursday, we keep our word, and we have what we call charlas, which are talks. And as a matter of fact, next Thursday, Martha is going to be our great coach that's going to share her knowledge. And, her skills are amazing. And so we want to make sure that next week, 4 o'clock California time, you'll hear Martha talk about how to be whole and divinely guided. Because as a coach, you need to really be crystalline with yourself.
now it's just like a teleseminar where they all come in online or
Yes,
Correct.
it's a live seminar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a
live seminar.
Yes.
Seminar, thank you.
Yes, it's a live seminar, and it's like a small
Webinar,
workship.
webinar.
Yeah,
It's a
it's like a
webinar.
webinar.
Okay.
Yeah, and we also speak about the importance of knowing how the brain works, the rewiring of the brain. Because when we understand how the brain works and what it takes to actually rewire, then we know how to create change with the tools,
Right.
and we understand the process of that doesn't happen overnight, that it takes time, but with the right tools, it does happen. Instead of just giving up, but understanding how the brain works creates the change and allows that change to be easier. Because the brain, it's also connected to the subconscious mind. That subconscious mind that makes us do things that we don't even know why. So when we understand that also, then it makes us, it's just easier for us to create the change.
So you're talking about getting down to causes and conditions.
Correct. And for example, the coach gives the vision statement to the coachee. And that vision statement is really truly a time for the coach to gather all his strength and spirit, and he's going to write for that coachee or that student how he sees him already whole, perfect, and complete. And so the next day he gives him this particular vision statement, and we ask that you also take it, say it out loud in front of a mirror, and you really internalize it as much as possible. Read it if you must 3 times a day, but before you're going to sleep, because before going to sleep, even though we may go to sleep, the subconscious keeps continuing on and on. So that's why you want to make sure
it never sleeps.
It never sleeps. So that we do wonderful things before going to bed. Don't read violent newspapers.
Watch the news.
Watch the news.
No.
Exactly.
Well, one of my practices before I go to bed, every night I do this, I write a gratitude list.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And there has to be at least 3 things that I'm grateful
Exactly.
for, and they don't transfer from day to day. They have to be 3 new things. And
Excellent.
sometimes I'll have
Excellent.
8, 10, 12 things.
Exactly.
I'll fill up a page and a half of these. But that way, before I go to sleep, and by the way, my brain doesn't shut off. I have what's called an alpha wave, and that's a real thing. There's only, I think they said between 1 and 3% of us in the entire world that our brains never shut down, and I'm one of those. I had gone to a sleep clinic some years back, and afterwards, when they're sitting down showing me the results of the all-night test, they said, Father, the reason why you don't feel rested is you have an alpha wave, and they told me about this small statistic. He says, you never stop processing information. 24 hours a day, your brain's going.
Yeah, and our brain,
Fantastic.
I mean, literally doesn't go to sleep. So,
Yeah, I know. But it's been one of the other things that I have to remind everybody is that if you feel that you have this calling, or you know of someone, please, we're reaching out to the community because we know that we're here to serve. Don't let money, and there are all kinds of programs and certification programs that are very costly. Don't allow money to get in the way. If you really feel that you need and want to be certified, please give us a call. We'll find ways. We've even given away certifications at this point, meaning that, we will work with you because it's not about the money. It's about trying to get to the people that need the tools so that we can make this a better world.
So how do people get in touch with you?
CoachingHispanoUSA.com. Yes, and
one more time.
www.coachinghispanousa.com.
Very good. And
or
to get
our
in touch
Facebook,
with you,
if you
Yes.
marthascoaching.com or marthabest.com. But
And
you
I'm-
could put them on there.
yeah, I'm
right?
going to put it on the website.
Yeah,
So you'll go to
great.
www.viewpointwithfatherjohn.com, and we're getting pretty close. So I want to do a few housekeeping things. First of all, I want to thank Nick for doing a great job. He's
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
great board operator. We've been very blessed to have him on the show, and I always
Yes.
look forward to seeing him. I want to thank my beloved Gabby. She's not just an incredible wife, which she is. She always makes sure I get here. She makes sure I wear clean undergarments and, and whatever that's supposed to mean. And
In case of an accident.
and make sure I don't say anything. Yeah, as Bill Cosby said, first you say it, then you do it. But she always makes sure I don't say anything that will get me a letter from the FCC. I also want to thank my 2 guests, Martha and Sandra.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next week, I'm going to be having someone on here from Brave New Films for a part of the show, and we're going to talk about one of their new films that talks about social justice, going from being in gangs and in prison to having a life outside that and returning to society. It'll be a really exciting show. And I do believe that for the rest of the show, I'm going to have the beautiful Martha Bass on the show again. So she's going to finish her webinar and run out to Redlands really quick. I would suggest you drive rather than run. But on that freeway, you might get here faster running. So I want to thank you for being here tonight. A few things. Do absolutely get involved with this workshop that Martha and I will be doing in October 6th in the People's Republic of Claremont. And we'd love to see you there. Again, follow us on Facebook at Viewpoint with Father John. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube and you like this beautiful shirt I'm wearing, you can't have this one. But we will be selling those to help support the show. I want to give a shout out to those who have already donated to the show and helping to keep us on the air. Without you, there is no us. And so I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. And it tells me that you're really committed. I'm also thrilled that, and I've shared this a couple times, but it just blows me away that this show has really gone global. I've been contacted from people from Brazil, Panama, Philippines, just all over the place who are listening to the show online.
Awesome.
And I'm honored that you tune in every week. And, you know, ladies, I have to tell you, and I mean this sincerely, we have some of the smartest listeners that listen to this show. And when they contact me on Facebook or through the contact link on the website, they have great questions. They have great comments. I'm just really blessed that they take such good care of me. And it's a privilege to get to come out to you every week and share hopefully some inspiration, some love. You don't have to agree with everything we say here. That's the beauty of the show. You're welcome to have your own opinion.
Yes.
But if you disagree, know why you disagree. And there's always room for conversation. And so, again, I thank you for spending another hour with me. And if no one told you this week that they love you, let me be the first.
Yes.
I look forward to having you
We love
next
you.
week.
We love you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Nick.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.